Welcome to this channel. The channel is for education and culture based on historical and scientific evidence. If you really want to learn something on Chinese Kung Fu, Qigong, meditations, or Wing Chun, I really suggest you watch this video carefully. Make sure you understand what I'm presenting here. Because if you don't understand what I'm presenting here in this video today, this single video, you are not going to develop anything. This is the truth. So for those who really want to know what is Wing Chun, what is Chinese Kung Fu, what is meditations, what is the Qigong or Neigong, and really want to learn something and develop something, you need to pay attention on this, because today I'd like to share with you, this is the major problem. Now, a few days ago, I shared on the very basic, the first line of 1850 Xiu Lin Tao sets, where one need to call oneself back. And in order to call oneself back, one need to know the concentrations, what is it? Observation, what is it? Aware, what is it? And what to use in the practice. Without knowing how to use these tools, aware or concentrations or observation, one will be guaranteed not going to go anywhere. Okay? Now, when I present that video on the first line or the first thing in Xiu Lin Tao sets of 1850, and presented why is today's Xiu Lin Tao sets of the four sets, none of it works. It's because it's like drowning. Wing Chun is about here already. It's almost dead. You cannot breathe already. For example, weeks ago, when I share on the three-dimensional and the bi-directional strength or force or momentum, there are some people will say, hey, this is Cham Q. This is Cham Q, have this turning and everything. Well, did they know what I'm talking? Obviously, they don't. Same thing when I share on the 6 core element. For past about a decade already, these people know what I'm talking about? They don't. They just copy my terms and then go around. Okay? And that's the reason I get to this concentrations, observations, awareness. That is the bottom line. If you don't know this and you don't have a handling on this, forget about the 6 core element, forget about the bi-directional force and momentum, because you don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay? And people love to argue when they don't know things. Some even say, I'm running a cult. Are you serious? Now, a few videos ago, I said that martial art is technology. You better know your opponents or your enemy. Did they have a machine gun, or they have missiles, or they have nuclear bomb? Instead of sitting at your cave, looking at your knife, and you think that you can defeat everybody in the world. Or physics, when people talk about physics, is the code. That's how serious. So I decided to share with you today is because this morning a friend who watched my video and me having in a discussion. So this is my reply to him. I said, martial art is a skill like running, not those ism, Buddhism, Taoism, whatever ism, philosophy, spiritual, etc., spinning in the mind stuff. It got nothing to do with that. It is like running. So no point to make a simple thing complex and confused with all the thinking and still don't get it. So it's like people never taste the taste of apple, go around for hundreds of years speculating things. When I say the bidirectional momentum and force, you say, well, Chum-Q have it too. Do they know what the heck it is? So this friend replies, say, okay, humans technology that works no matter what you call it. Concentrations, observations, awareness will happen like laying down like baby with your feet up will revert your breathing to abdomen. It works. If you call things by name, it like Tao or Buddhist, then it is hard to see past belief when in reality it is just science. This is what it is. It is just science in the reality. But people cannot get over of calling things by name. Or it's Chum-Q. Or is this lineage or that lineage. In fact, it is a really simple thing. It's like I say that you're learning Wing Chun is like learning how to run, how to sprint. If you can get it, you get it. If you cannot get it, forget about it. Don't tell me about all this concept or anything. Those in the MMA ring, those in the boxing ring will love the hell out of you because people need to train like training in the running. Okay. So let me share with you. You want to train in Wing Chun? You want to fight? This is what the ancient have. The nurture chi training, the fitness training, the martial art trainings. The recovery parts, the fitness part, the martial art, really high-speed exertion part. Tell me which part have you trained? Well, every part is different. It is not just like if you go train, I need to get really vigorous, very strenuous. Well, to be strenuous is problem if you don't know about recovery. Bruce Lee died because of that. It's not only me saying, okay, I'm not the guy who's saying. If you look at all this, the real expert in Qi, in internal thing, like late Mr. Nan Huaijing, he said publicly, Bruce Lee really doesn't know. In today's science, that part which like late Mr. Nan Huaijing said what Bruce Lee don't know is the recovery part. Today, after 60 years, Bruce Lee died, we know in science have already progressed that far that it is parallel. The understanding is parallel with the ancient Chinese on this recovery thing. So, is it for fitness? Is it for martial art training? Is it for the recovery? Wing Chun 1850 have all this. Now tell me, your Wing Chun 3 sets, what is it? What do you train? Train pan? Or train your 小念头 has to be 1 hour until you feel sweat and using your full concentrations, all sort of stuff. What are you training? If you train in this martial art thing, then you better know the recovery. Now, if you have never heard about all this, it is just damaging. It is not as good as today's sport. In today's sport, people know one need to balance the training and the recovery. And also one need to have this fitness training to build the aerobic base. Have your Wing Chun built that thing? In a pro MMA training, Olympic training, you will have that. Build your aerobic base, your recovery, your training, strenuous training, and know your limits. That when you can do it, when you cannot do it. If you're keeping doing your 小念头 slow, using total concentrations, strenuous, and all this, and you have to stand there until you're shivering, until you're sweating, and then you're keeping do change pan, what are you doing? It is just a reality that you don't know. When you don't know about that, you want to face those who is trained in MMA or the modern boxing, forget about it. So, in fighting, this is the Chinese way. This is the long fist. This is the short strike. This is the ground fighting. All of this, you need to using the bi-directional strength and momentum, or else you use the today's so-called popular Wing Chun straight line, and the closest between 2 points is a straight line and linear. You drop that because this exists 470 years ago. The mother art of Wing Chun, this is the General Qigong, and General Qigong give this technology to the Shaolin have the technology, and then the technology spread to Wing Chun. Wing Chun is the offspring of the Shaolin, where it's good at here, even though you know all this. Now, if we don't know about the body conditioning, we don't know about this, keeping talking about techniques, 沉橋標誌, Qi, philosophy, a Buddhist monk, a Taoist monk. What the heck are you talking about? So it is, martial art or Wing Chun is a skill like running, not those ism, philosophy, spiritual spinning in the mind stuff. In the 60s, when at that time when I was in Asia and people talk about, Bruce Lee in university is studying philosophy. So Bruce Lee have his philosophy of using no way as way and those kind of stuff. And people start to take this so-called philosophy stuff as like the ultimate. So the Chinese using, philosophy. This is philosophy. What is philosophy? Nobody knows. They say, because Bruce Lee do it. Okay, all philosophy. And then the Westerner come in and say, Taoist philosophy, Buddhist philosophy. Until today, all those philosophy stuff. Do you know how about the recovery and all this kind of stuff? You have no idea. Do you know about the fighting type like this? You have no idea. You want to talk about qi? Qi had to do with the six core element, the breathing element. It has to follow that. Let me share with you what is not shared in the West up to today, but the Chinese, the past generations, like the Grandmaster Ma Li Tang, those real internal martial artists and Qigong experts who do research already presented. So, six core element. The bottom element is your physical, and then your mind element, and then your breathing element, and then your qi element. And then on top of that is your strength element, and on top of that is your momentum element. Now, from the breathing element to the qi element, there's one thing which you need to know, and that is intra-abdominal pressure and the thoracic or the chest pressure. If you have real Qigong, you know that in practice Qigong, the abdominal pressure and the chest pressure, they are keeping varying. For example, in the recovery, if you get injury, in the ancient people practice what? The six healing sound Qigong. Actually, it's not even six healing sound. Six healing sound, it is not sound. Six healing sound is a bad and wrong translation. It is not what it is. It is this six breath Qigong. The six breath Qigong, actually, it is a variations of handling of the intra-abdominal pressure and your chest pressure. To do a massage and the relaxations to promote blood circulations. Now, so you need to have a proper breathing, and the proper low abs breathing will get you into the proper handling of your diaphragm and pelvic floor muscle. So this is the proper one. Well, because this is a proper one, so when you inhale, your pressure in the abdomen will rise. When you exhale, your pressure in the chest will rise. So they varies. Okay. Now, why it is the pressure here is rising is because when you inhale, your diaphragm going downward, you push here, compress it here. When you exhale, your diaphragm move upward. So your diaphragm move upward, that all is related to your pressure. Now, you need to breathe this properly in order to get that. Handle the pressure properly. Now, how the world we know that if we are not doing this, which is a wrong thing? Like today's people tighten their lower abs or purposely pushing their lower abs out. Instead of this, when you do this, you have a 360-degree of expansion and contraction. When you do that, this is off. Now, if you never train this, you never even know about this so-called something called intra-abdominal pressure and your chest pressure. How the world you going to handle this thing prior to you have qi? So you ask me, well, Hendrik, so what is this got to do with the qi? Well, let me tell you. When people say they need to sing qi to dantian, It has everything to do with the variations of the chest pressure and the abdominal pressure when you sing qi to dan tian. So those people who be able to aware of their body, they can aware of that. That is why grandmaster, real expert like Ma Li Tang, okay, who is the real expert in the sixth healing breath and using it to heal a lot of, or treat a lot of patients, internal organs patients, and recover. They're aware of their internal. So when the science talk about this intra-abdominal pressure, chest pressure, they right away know, oh, this is what it is. This is what I'm aware. This is what it is. So the Western science have already know this, and of course the Western science do not have the technology like the sixth healing breath, but the Chinese have it. Chinese do not have the science explanation like here today, but they have the experience. The issue is that you have to get into the awareness to aware of that. Okay. So if we keeping talking about philosophy, Taoist, my lineage, my Wing Chun, what Wing Chun do you have? What lineage do you have? While the real expert is talking about this thing, and the handling, and you want to sing qi to dan tian, how the thing, and what to avoid, you're talking philosophy. So it's like people who never have tasted apple, keeping playing expert in the taste of apple. You don't know what it is. So I go even further. I get the heart rate, the breathing rate, the heart rate variability, your maximum heart rate, your VO2 max. Because from this, the ancient, we need to map into today's sport science. We need to really clearly draw this thing out. It's not like Wing Chun is just Tan Pong Fok, huh? Are you sure? How the world you can handle all this thing, just very basic thing like this with Tan Pong Fok? Or it's like Cham Q, it's like Biu Ji. How the world is your Biu Ji and Cham Q and Xiu Lim Tao handle this thing? You need to ask the question that way. It's not like you're living in your own, like this friend say. If you call thing by name, it like Tao or Buddhist, then it's hard to see past belief when in reality it's just science. So we want to bring everything into science. Or else we are screwing each other. I'm not here to critique any grandmaster in the past. You see, I never name here. If I want to learn the bad habit of the past 100 years in Wing Chun, name, I can do it the same like in the pattern quote. Name the name and list down the entire analysis and see and show the world what it is. But I don't. Why? Well, the point is not to put anybody down. The point is to say enough is enough. We need to get into the science. Wing Chun is a deep art. Why get ourselves into this position today? You want to grow your Wing Chun school? I just share with you there are plenty of things that you can. If you're good at that, you know the science, you have room to teach, to make your money, to be expert inside there. Nobody said that everybody have to be the first, the best fighter in MMA, or like Bruce Lee. Like Bruce Lee or first in MMA match, or can be the best fighter or the king of Wing Chun, mean nothing. Because the reality we live in is science. If you know this, if you study Wing Chun properly or Qigong properly, if you know this, you can use it until the last day you are in this world. Because you know, when you can train the strenuous training when you're not supposed to, you know, when you get sick, you need to have recovery, and you need, say, you train the 6 healing breath, but you must not go walking. Because when there's internal issue problem, until the problem solved, you go do exercise, even though it is at this anaerobic endurance level, it's still, your body cannot handle it, cannot support it. So there's science. And you know this science. You know that there are certain friend and opponent and competitor which you cannot fight because your body is not conditioned for that. You know how to fight. You know, on all this Qi style of Neigong or Qigong, you know who is bullshitting you. When like people love to have teaching this online seminar that you pay a lot of money. You know, you never get, you never get what they claim, because they don't even know this. They have no even idea of this, and they couldn't even show you the teacher, the grandmasters vital signs with science. Not to mention the philosophy they talk is only their own thing. Is it what the Chinese mean? It's a problem. Okay. So this is what I like to share with you. And also, I wrote this book. Why? I belong to these generations. I know the art of Chinese culture, Qigong, Wing Chun is going extinct soon. I'm like the last generation. I probably even be the last batch of people who know what I'm knowing here. Most people have no idea anymore. I wrote this 6 core elements in this book because I want people to go down there, really know what is going on. In this book, what is the Chinese martial art is about? Don't tell me about, oh, there's Mui from Shaolin and he created this style for the woman. It's called Wing Chun. Forget about it. Read about this. Then you know that, hey, even 470 years ago, it's already like that. How the hell your Wing Chun, like in the movie, can fight all these people who train this way? And also, don't tell me that MMA is the ultimate, that Chinese Kung Fu is nothing. Sorry. By evidence, it is there 470 years ago. Now, if you don't train, for sure you cannot fight. Even you train, you cannot fight. Like me, 60-something years already. Like me, you know, I'm born with diabetic type 1. How the hell I'm going to fight right now? No matter all what I know. So a usual thing is like people say, what, enlightened master. That is useless if you enlighten. The issue is there are a lot of things you need to support yourself. Like for example, my example, I'm diabetic type 1. Diabetic type 1 have problem with kidneys, have problem with heart. Yeah, I mean, you look at that everybody is really cautious. Lucky if you don't have a big problem. So is that because I know of this, then I am the grandmaster, I'm the king of Wing Chun? Forget about it. Those are movie stuff. What we want today in America for everybody is science. So you have the science, you have the skill, you'll be able to learn it, and you'll be able to map with sports science today. They come together and it's going to do good for yourself. That's what we want. So after I wrote this Wing Chun Inception. That's for recovery. And Decoding Wing Chun is the first book in the entire world to show you the full spectrum training of Chinese Kung Fu, the full spectrum, and map into the sports science to show you that, yes, it is real. So Wing Chun Inception is just showing you the basic, really basic. Now, if you have this basic, you have this science, when you train, you know what to watch out. You know what you're not supposed to touch. You know what you're supposed to train. Instead of, yeah, I practice this Xiu Lim Tao Cham Qiu Biu Ji, and it's like, oh, this is this set I learned from this secret, the king of Wing Chun. What does it mean? It means nothing. So for the breathing, the intra-abdominal pressure, all those things related is in the decoding Wing Chun. When you take a blow, what happened? Should you take that blow or you shouldn't take that blow? When you take the blow, what happened? When you exert strength, what happened to your intra-abdominal pressure? If you don't know that, how are you going to manage yourself? This book, The Restricting Wing Chun, is to present what Wing Chun is, the uniqueness, okay, where it's from and all this kind of stuff, the technical details. So why am I doing all this thing? I'm doing all this thing is just to prepare for basic education. It is a science. You don't need to waste life. And even if you wasted 10 years already to study that and you don't know, you're better off to go understand the science first. Oh, this is this, this is this, this is this. That way, you become better, you know what it is. You can ask for help from the Western science. You can ask for help for other people. Say, for example, you have no idea how to defend against or counter takedown. After you study that, the bidirectional force, as I shared with you last time in the books I shared with you, you say, okay, now there's an issue. I really don't know how my opponent will do it. The rule of General Qigong 470 years ago say, whatever you don't know is whatever got you. You better go learn and see, oh, this is how it come in. Instead, like today, you see all this video, Wing Chun against takedown. Wing Chun Chi Sao is a standing grappling. Are you serious? Have you met a guy who is like a BJJ black belt in the real competitions, MMA train? See how many seconds you can get it, okay? Or how many seconds you going down to the ground. There is no Superman in this world, but there is science. Only science can help you and me. Only science can help Wing Chun. Only science can help your student. Only science can help you to open your school and have a quality teaching in your school. It is not about lineage or your relationship with which student or citing philosophy. Okay. So this is what I like to share with you. It's like for what I'm talking about, this the 6 core element in this book. Let me share with you. Most reader of this book never get through this book. Some might be diligent for 3 months, and after 3 months, they learn a little bit up to the mind element, and they stop there. So they never learn about the 6 core element. So the book is put on their shelf for collecting dust. Okay. Now there's somebody go further than that, asking me to coach them. And here there's only 2 group of people. One group of the people is, I told them, 3 months, every day, 2 hours. Yes, sign in blood, do it, bite the bullets. Really rare. There are many who are even 40, 50 years old, so-called grandmaster. They couldn't even take the first few lessons. Their mind is something else. They're only learning the terms, using my terms, but they don't know what it is. So that's how bad it is. If you don't know this 6 core element, you don't know this, like the decoding Wing Chun, all your training in this stuff, and then in all the scientific stuff, how is anything work? Keeping talking about internal Qigong, Tai Chi. What the heck is that? Can you show it? Like I keeping saying to people sometimes really get really irritate for me, challenge them to say, okay, you have your Qigong, whatever, show me your heart rate, breathing rate handling, your heart rate variability, show me your peak heart rate, okay? Endurance, show me your VO2 max. People get really pissed when I'm asking them. But I'm asking them, you want to call yourself grandmaster, you better have that. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be the top of the world, like compete with Mike Tyson. But at least you go through it. At least you can read. If your students screw up or anything, you can read it, or you can say, well, under your condition, you better don't train this. Isn't that is a responsibility? So the Chinese, the Wing Chun, the ancient Wing Chun, the Chinese internal, the Qigong, is that real? Real. It is as real as today's sports science training in Olympic. It is never those philosophy thing which is in the past 60 years, 100 years, all those people who never really know the science, never really put their time in develop it, get into all those religious stuff or whatever heck that screw things. So right now, I take it my mission of my life, my duty of my life, be it I'm the last one in this in the entire transmissions. I tell you, this is science. That is not philosophy. You want your philosophy, you better get your science and your technology first. Just now I just shared with you. You want to talk about Xin Qi to Dan Tian? Do you aware of your breathing? Do you know which type of breathing you are in? Do you know you breathe this way or this way? Or you don't even know about the pelvic floor and the diaphragm piston action, and you don't even know that. Just contracting your abs or expanding your abs is screwing up when you don't know that there is the piston movement between your pelvic floor muscle and your diaphragm, and you have the 360-degree expansions and contraction. So this is what I like to share with you. Like in the Ma Li Tang generations, Ma Li Tang lived in the early 1900 until 1980s. That generations of gentlemen, they know their stuff. Too bad the cultural evolution get in, and then later on, right now, it's all woo, Chinese kung fu, woo, internal, whatever. These people, like Grandmaster Ma Li Tang, he is a college graduate, even though at the 1930s time. There are a lot of them, and many of them passed that in the cultural evolution time. Okay, many of all these great martial artists, great internal Qigong practitioners. In Asia, you can see who really care for this. People don't. So the only hope of this to continue on is in America. Okay, again, that's why I wrote this book. That's why I wrote the Decoding Wing Chun. This is the only book today can give you clear understanding on the basic. Whatever your Qigong practice, your martial art, internal, whatever, Neigong, will never get out of this basic foundation. You violate whatever these foundations, you're not going to get anywhere, or you're going to screw yourself or get injury. Why? I'm so sure. Because when we can map, this is the sports science today, medical science, this is the ancient, when you can map it down there, you know really solidly what can be expected. So like today, if we are like overweight, we have diabetic, we have heart problem, we have a kidney problem, or we have a stress problem, we need to know all these things. The guy who have all this problem cannot go into a gym right away. I'm going to train punch for 1 hour. Or I'm going to practice Xiu Lim Tao for 1 hour. You're killing him in the long run. If it's not dropped in just a few days or create health problem. Okay? So what is this based on? Science, medical science. So the last word for you is, in anybody, including Hendrik, don't trust. Trust the science, medical science. Okay? That is the approach I took. So that's why in the generations of Grandmaster Ma Li Tang, they already know it. They map into the science. The reason I know it this way today is because in the 80s, they already have a lot of mature thing. And today's, we have even more science. We have even more in-depth Western medical science and sports science. Took whatever it is from this grandmasters of the 1980s. That is how I be able to write the book like Decoding Wing Chun. Of course, you need to learn from a lot of people. Nobody's God. And the next generation's supposed to deepen the thing. So I'm just following what like the Grandmaster Ma Li Tang and all this Grandmaster on the 80s. When there's a gap in Asia, Wing Chun gap is already like that. You know it cannot be covered anymore. It cannot recover. That's the problem. The only way you can recover it is, as what I put in the Decoding Wing Chun. You want to put all those basic signs back. So whatever I say, you can mark in stone. This video, we're going to stay here forever until forever. If I bullshit you, the entire world in the history, even after I die, will laugh at me. But what if I don't bullshit you? I tell you the truth. What if you don't listen? What I say is the truth. Then who's lost?